Nate Carpenter. I can't believe it. 35 years, man.
Yeah.
AC, Aron Carter, a.k.a. Darkman. We could say that even though it's not PC now. But we go back to King's College. Man, this is Tailgates and Testimonies. And it wasn't too long ago we talked on the phone. I mean, it ended up being like an hour and a half. And it was just from the heart, man. We talked about life, family, kids, and the conversation kind of went from sports and family to all things God and in Christ.
You know, we always have a chance to get back to where he wants us to be. We're never, you know, I don't believe in the term broken. I know that sometimes the term broken is used. But broken to me denotes there's no hope. We live in the United States.
Right.
We're never broken in the United States. Other countries, where their way of life and how things work for them, some of those folks may be broken because they don't have that hope. We have that hope here, and we're fortunate to have that hope.
Exactly. I mean, we have a freedom. We have a blanket of freedom that third world nations don't have.
Correct.
I mean, I was in Sierra Leone, Africa back in 2011, and I can remember the number one vocation was crime.
Right.
And 96% unemployment rate post-apartheid with the Blood Diamond conflict.
Yep.
And I'm sitting there with UN tents still up on the railroad in Lungi, north of Freetown.
Yep.
Why Freetown?
Right.
Slaves came back through from you know, the English nations and went through that area of Africa. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like there's so much history here, but still so much brokenness, family dispersion. Like, don't get me wrong, we may be backward in some ways as a nation, but there's a lot of freedom. We can worship.
Yes.
We can go to church.
Right. And you went to Sierra Leone. I've done a number of mission trips in Haiti.
Okay.
Haiti has 60% unemployment. Not the 96 that you have.
But still.
But in all that, you know, the one thing I found out about Haiti, you're going to find this very interesting. Haiti has the lowest suicide rate in the world. Now think about what I just told you. With all that despair, 60% unemployment, some days you eat, some days you don't.
Right.
Gangs.
Right.
Running the country and doing things like that.
Sure.
You would think taking your life would be
on the top of the totem pole. Yeah.
Top of the totem pole.
Yeah.
But it's a very religious country.
Yes.
And people just figure it out.
Right.
They go day by day, but they figure it out.
Right.
So that tells me that if you can find hope in a situation like that, what we deal with here is so minor.
It is.
I think it's more of a inconvenience, because I think if you think about the philosopher Marcus Aurelius, he's like, he says it's our overestimation of problems. That is our issue. It's not the problem itself.
Right.
And I think that's what happens sometimes.
I just want the viewers to know tonight that you've met a man that has a degree. We went to King's College together. He came up from Fort Walton Beach, Florida, was on the basketball team, far superior athlete to me.
Oh God.
Yes, he was. Yeah, you know.
I was lazy.
Well, you know, we won't go there. Right? But I will say, you know, it was a good experience. We were in Wilkes-Barre, Scranton, you know, playing a sport. But we talk about life and where you came from and how you got there, and you start to connect the dots. And it was from Kings to Jersey Shore State Bank as a CFO, Chief Financial Officer.
I was Chief Risk Officer.
Chief Risk Officer, worse yet.
Yeah,
anyway,
worse,
no, I'm just
I
kidding.
know.
I'm not, but jeez.
Yeah.
You're like you were like the special operatives within the bank. I get it, man. Just call it. But you're gonna hear from Aron tonight, aka Darkman. You're gonna hear him talk about a lot of things intellectual, because he's a deep thinker. I can remember you had stacks of vinyl.
Yes.
In your room. I'm not wrong, am I?
No, you're not.
My parents spun vinyl. My parents spun vinyl. You had an eclectic taste in music.
Yes.
And I loved it.
Do.
I loved it, man.
Still do.
I loved your taste in music back in school. We were on the 8th floor of Holy Cross Hall.
I was in 803. I forget what your room was.
I don't know, but
you were close by the elevator.
Yeah, I was close to the elevator. We could get out when the building caught ablaze, you know. but we had some great years, and I look back, and a lot of times those were also those years of pruning and, man, kind of in limbo, and where am I going to go from here? But we met there. Never did I think again our paths would cross.
Neither did I. You graduate and you get away from each other, but that's kind of like the Lord doing that thing in the background, and sometimes you get back. I never thought I was going to be at Jersey Shore State Bank. I worked for the U.S. Treasury for 19 years.
Seriously?
Yes, and then I was offered a job for the president of Jersey Shore, and I came there, and that's how I.
Who was the president at the time?
Dick Grafmeyer. But,
Okay.
But the bank obviously was sold this year. So.
Yes.
But I knew him, and
I remember Hubert.
I remember
Yes.
Hubert. But Hubert was, I forget exactly what Hubert's position was.
He was on the board, but
he was on the board, but he had another position too.
Yeah.
So, somehow we just connected.
Yeah.
We connected again. I remember there's only two people I remember that lived out this way. You and Eric Barnes.
Yeah, and Eric was Loyal Sock.
Yeah.
And we were roommates, and Eric ended up going,
Yeah.
bad boys.
Yeah.
What
In
you
Miami.
gonna do? Yeah, he's down in Broward County on that
Yeah.
show Cops.
Yeah.
Or was it? Yeah.
I forget one of them.
But he was a sheriff in
Yeah.
Broward.
Yeah.
The biggest, worst county, and he was always kind of that person. He was a risk taker, kind of
Yes.
quiet, but he had a mind for,
Yeah.
To set the
Wanna hear
record
that
straight.
Smoke.
Yeah.
Want that smoke.
He did, and he ended up doing it. So,
Yeah.
so here we are now, and we were talking recently, talk a lot about District 4,
Yeah.
and of course the love of sports, but I
Right.
think just the passion for life, the
Right.
passion for relationships. We always try to put people and compartmentalize in a box, right?
Right.
Not everybody that leads worship is a facilitator.
Correct.
Like I see myself as somebody that just wants to talk all things faith, even though I know I'm still reading that yellow book from Barnes and Noble, How to Be a Christ Follower for Dummies.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
And I'm still in my word, and at the same time I learned so much in the trenches from relationships. Our paths crossed District 4 years ago with Julian Fleming.
Yes.
His mom, you were friends from Catawissa down in District 4. It's not about name dropping because I love Julian, and we all know that life takes ebbs and flows.
That's correct.
And we were talking and we were praying and we were interceding. And we were just like, man, God, you're going to have your way over all circumstances. And what the devil intends to harm, you have plans for good.
Correct.
But I remember spending that evening with you at Jersey Shore on that Friday night
Yeah, that's correct.
with Betsy.
Yeah, that's
And
right.
and it was special. And then it wasn't too long. You went from the Panhandle of Fort Walton Beach.
That's correct. Fort Walton Beach, Florida.
To the Podunk Nation of Waterville. You had to go to Waterville, man.
Right.
So tell me a little bit about your childhood.
Okay, so, like you said, I grew up in Fort Walton Beach, Florida.
Right.
And I kind of grew up communally like the first 10 years of my life, meaning there were a lot of kids. I had a lot of cousins that were like maybe a year or two younger than me, and some that were a year or two older than me. A lot of them fathers weren't around.
Yeah.
So the ladies, they were all cousins.
A lot of matriarchs.
So it was a lot of matriarchs. So they kind of policed the kids all together.
Oh, yeah. With switches.
Yeah, switches.
Yeah, baby.
Switches. And to me, like today and thinking about it today, I'm glad that I actually had that experience because you got humbled very quickly.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times when you're the only kid, your only child, or everybody gloats around you and all that. In my environment, no.
You're set, well, when you're set up with that world of entitlement, at some point in time it comes all crashing down.
Yeah, that's correct. That's correct. And fast forwarding a little bit, we had some family dysfunction. My father wasn't always around when I was younger, and so on and so forth. And so it was primarily, like I said, we lived kind of like communally, but it was really me, my mom, and my sister.
Mm-hmm.
My mom gets married, second marriage, and stepfather was not the kind of guy you probably want your mom to be married to. And I got some licks to prove it, and she did too. But again, yeah, it sounds bad and all that, and it's bad for like an 8 or 9-year-old kid to get beat up by a man. But I look at the end result today because, I'm a firm believer is you never regret anything that you've ever gone through.
Ooh.
And I know that's hard because some people's gone through some tough stuff.
Right.
But look at that. If you didn't go have that experience, maybe you wouldn't wind up the same way you are today. I feel like some of the experiences I went through younger, early teenager, drugs, for a short season, but it was enough to be disastrous. Getting through that, but it just made me stronger.
Right.
To get me where I am right now.
So having a lack of a father figure.
Yeah.
Right. it's not that you were raised by wolves. You had the matriarch.
Oh yeah, I'll put those chicks up against anybody.
Right?
Anybody.
So they were devout. They were faithful.
Yes, they were very, very faithful, and all of that. As a kid, they made you go to church, and I was Southern Baptist growing up. So church was like a party poster. 10 a.m. question mark. So it'd be 3
we don't
hours.
know. Hey,
4
anybody
hours,
got a
it'd be
snack?
6 hours. Yeah.
Anybody got a snack?
And you better not fall asleep in church. Because the switch is coming out when you get home, because you didn't embarrass your parents probably. So that's how it worked.
Amen. So you had that upbringing. What was life like in Fort Walton Beach? Was it affluent? Was it slow? Was it a fast paced life?
It was a little bit of everything.
Okay.
Because
you're further west than Tallahassee.
Yes, right on the Gulf of Mexico,
yes.
Between Pensacola and Panama City, and I know some people heard of it called the Redneck Riviera and all of that. No, you're only 40 minutes from Alabama.
You weren't selling lemonade by the cup.
No. So Fort Walton Beach had a little bit of everything. It's a big Air Force base there called Eglin Air Force Base.
Okay, that's where that is. Okay,
and that's the biggest Air Force base in the United States.
I had no idea.
So obviously you had a lot of military people, their families, and all that lived there, because it is on what they call Redneck Riviera or the Emerald Coast. White sand and all of that, had a lot of celebrities that were around.
Right.
More in private areas, like on the beach, but there were celebrities that were around. There was poverty there. We had, during that time too, in the 80s, we had a lot of Cubans that were there. Because I don't know if you can recall this from history, in 1980, United States took over a lot of Cubans.
Mm-hmm.
It's called Mariana Boat Lift.
Yes.
Some went in Miami. Some made their way up to where I'm from. Better opportunities, things like that nature. In fact, if you watch the movie Scarface, at the beginning of Scarface, that's the Mariana Boat Lift.
No way.
How Tony Montana comes here and all of that.
Yeah, say hello to my little friend.
Yeah, all that stuff.
Yeah.
So it was a little bit of everything. You had some poverty, you had some wealth, but the wealth was limited to people who had money. You know what I mean?
Right.
Very expensive to live there on the beach, all of that. But, when I was a kid, you didn't know you were poor. You know what I mean? You just went out and did your thing.
Yeah, that's right.
That.
Yeah,
so
you got dirty, you ate dirt, you kicked rocks. You know what I mean?
You do the same thing like if I would have grew up around here.
Yeah.
Same thing.
Exactly.
Same thing.
But you had a community, you had friends.
Oh yeah,
family.
I had friends. My grandmother. So while my father wasn't around all the time, my grandmother, his mother, she kind of took his role.
Yeah.
And in fact, end of February, I go back home every February, end of February, because my grandmother's turning 99.
No way. So Tony Owens coaches the wrestling team.
Yeah.
Right? And he was just on. You saw a little bit of that podcast. His grandmother's 100.
Yeah. She just turned, my grandmother turned 99, 1927. And I'm the first grandson, so.
That is crazy. The lineage.
So she's my best girl. That's how I refer to her.
Man.
Yeah. So I refer to her as my best girl because she's always been.
So obviously you have the degree in finance. You come out. You work 19 years.
Yeah, U.S. Treasurer. I was a bank examiner. The guy that everybody hates from It's a Wonderful Life.
Oh,
bank
yes.
examiner.
Yes.
Shows up on Christmas Eve. The examiner day. That's the type of job.
Oh my gosh.
19 years.
He's coming.
Yeah, he's coming.
Yeah. Find the receipts.
Yeah.
So at what point in your life would you say you really kind of began to understand the decision you made for Christ?
It's
a tough question. Because I've had seasons, right?
Yes, I think that's the most important thing, because you remember when I first talked about when you're a kid, you're forced to go to church. Right? Southern Baptist, I'm there, you're sweating in the church, there's no air conditioning, blah, 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 blah. But as time went along, I had some struggles, my early teenage years, not my later teenage years, but my early, I would say like 13, 14, trying to follow the crowd, do things that I shouldn't be doing. Yeah. And fortunately, knock on wood for me,
you got out.
I got out with God's help.
Yes.
I was fortunate because I could be like some of the other boys that were around my age that went to prison, got killed, so on and so forth. I'm fortunate. So that, now looking back, it tells me that there was a song, hymn. It's like, God is not through me yet, which refers to the things that happen to you. You're still here, so there's still a purpose for you that God is putting in you. So I think as it went along, you go to college, of course. Like me, I'm not going to say of course. I'm just saying me got away from it.
Me too.
But I had a experience.
Okay.
In college.
Enlighten me.
So, in college we had to take the 9 credits for religion.
Yeah, I took
religion or something like that.
I took Christian marriage and nearly failed it.
Yeah.
Sister Mary Peters.
I took Old Testament. And
Okay.
I had Father Rabondo.
Oh.
Who was really, really short.
Yeah. Napoleon.
Short priest. Right.
He was great though.
He told me one thing that I even remember today. Question everything in the Bible. Now, this is coming from a priest. I didn't understand it at the time.
Right.
But the point that he was trying to make is, don't just accept something because it's told to you.
Yeah.
Question, how are you going to learn it?
Well,
because, as a kid, you think about this as a kid with your parents and,
sure.
and with religion, whatever he told you to believe, yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
That's right. You don't do any work. Yeah. I believe.
Well, it's almost like the pastor, the priest, the clergy, whoever you look up to within the confines of the church becomes your surrogate Jesus.
Yeah, your deity. You got a deity.
And you just regurgitate what they tell you.
Right.
Not that the majority of what they're teaching isn't accurate, but work out your own salvation.
Well, not only that, but the one thing to mention there is they're still a human being.
Right.
And all human beings fall short of the glory.
Right.
All. I don't care if they're a pastor. I don't care if they're a priest.
Right.
They're still a human being first.
Right.
And we know that there's no perfect people.
So what you're saying is we talk about going up to the Mount of Transfiguration and they come back and everybody's like, what happened?
Right.
It's almost like what you're saying is with Father Rabondo was like, I want you to experience God on your own.
Right.
In the pages of the scriptures. I want you to go deep. I want you to question it. Not that everything's blasphemy or anything like that, but just I want you to grow as a person.
And I think that's when it started. Now again,
wow.
I still was not in,
Do you remember Father Larry Yergi?
No, I don't remember.
So it's crazy, man, because I didn't grow up Catholic.
Neither did I.
I grew up the son of a funeral director. So what I got tired of was the Christian war lines that were drawn. Oh, the Baptists, the Bapticostals, the Pentecostals,
you're going to hell for everything.
Right. And then the Catholics and this. It was all, there's a lot of denominational war lines. And it was like, wait a minute, we're talking about the 2 to 3% we don't have in common.
Yeah.
What about the 97% we do? And so when I went to King's, I was like, not that I went kicking and screaming, but I was like, man, I'm not Catholic. I'm at a Catholic university.
Right.
What I found, Brother Jim,
Jim, I worked for him in the theater for 4 years.
Because you were on the radio station.
I did the radio station. That wasn't with Brother Jim, but that was my work study job, working in the theater. So, and I was an understudy too. So I helped build sets, and then I would be the backup for someone who couldn't perform in a play. So I had to remember lines.
I never knew that. I took theater perspective too. That was a challenge.
Yeah.
I summoned the jury, Mr. Webster demands, from churchyard mold and gallows grave. But you think about that though.
Yeah.
Even that experience, right? Okay. Not that life is always live theater.
Yes.
But as a Christian, I'm taught to put on the full armor of God. I'm taught to put on the garment of praise. Yeah. I'm taught to live my life in such a way. I don't always feel joyful, but the joy of the Lord is my strength.
Right.
You talk about that, Father Rabondo, Brother Jim, the work study in the theater.
Yeah.
That not that you weren't a communicator, but you were coming out. You're unique because not everybody in accounting, finance, not stereotyping, but are great communicators.
Well,
you're a socialite.
Yeah.
You're somebody who can communicate well, but you also understand finance at a very deep level. So you were being equipped in a sense for life.
Well, that's a testament. Well, obviously to God. Remember, the answer to everything is Jesus or God. That's
right.
But earthly, that's my mother. Like if you sat down and you met my mother. Like I do volunteer work. I've done tons of volunteer work. I do some things quite a bit of things that are anonymous that I don't want to talk about. I just do them.
Yeah.
Because
what you sow in secret,
Yeah, because she gave me the example. And my mom died in 2018.
I'm sorry, brother.
Yeah, it happens, man. Like
her last breath here was her first breath there, though.
But the thing is, and I tell my kids before, and I told other people when I was growing up too, we would always have like Thanksgiving and Christmas. There would be people that came to our house that I didn't even know. My mom would befriend people at a shelter, battered women. Her kid wouldn't even know. She would buy like cheap trinket like gifts, like just something cheap from like the dollar store or something like that to give for those kids. But that's kind of like how I live, and that's how I was taught. And you could just see it. I'm pretty sure with your upbringing too, just some of the things that your parents did, and how look at some of the things that you're doing today.
Yeah. So my grandmother was the matriarch.
Yeah.
So I was 6 years old on a ball field in Potter County. And I said, Grandma, I believe Jesus is real. It was my first encounter with God was on a ball field at 6.
Oh.
She said, he's going to zap your legs. You're going to circle those bases. And he's going to equip you for the remainder of your life with everything that you'll ever need.
That's awesome.
He's got a purpose for you, Nathan.
That's awesome.
My grandmother. God rest her soul.
Yeah.
So my uncle, little did I know, I hit it down the third base line and he let it go between his legs and go into the woods. So I circled the bases. I got home and I said, Grandma, he zapped my legs. He zapped my legs. And it was then, and it was 13 and it was 24. And there were some mile markers along the way. I look back and go, yeah, he brought me through that. He showed me this. He was my example. But my grandmother being the matriarch, I'll tell you one quick story because you're talking about generosity and just things that done in secret. We found out this years later. The road, the last 3 miles, because she was near Countersport, the last 3 miles into her homestead was dirt road.
Okay.
They'd salt it, it would get bad. So her car was she had a Chevy something, and it was nearly rusted out.
Okay. From the salt and all
she didn't care. So I find out she's driving around in a car that's on its absolute last leg. Right. And we find out that she ended up paying completely for a hermit in the community's funeral. And I just wept. I was like, here's a woman paying $5,000 or $6,000 for somebody's funeral she barely knew.
When she could have got herself another vehicle for that.
Just how she lived.
That's it, man. That's like the greatest example of, even though when you're in a position to do better for yourself, whether materialistically, because you get more joy and more hope out of doing for others. Yeah. Character is how you treat those who can do nothing for you.
Unconditional, nothing in return.
Nothing in return.
You're not giving with expectation.
Exactly. And that's true giving.
Yeah, and I think so many times in life, we talk about commodities, and you're a finance guy, and it could be a bunch of things, from grain to wheat to sugar cane to coal to resources. But one of the greatest commodities that is I feel is just time.
Yeah, Nate, I'm glad you mentioned that, because I can write a check, then I'm done. But your time is more valuable. And people always say, well, I'm so busy and all that. That's nonsense, because we always make time for things we want to make time for. Right. Whether it's watching a television show, whether it's, let's say if you like walking or running or whatever, you could adjust that time to do something else.
Yes.
Right? And that's all of us.
Right.
All of us.
Absolutely.
To some degree. So, but you are right. It is time, because time is hard, because, again, a check is I sign and I'm done. Right. There's no other attachment.
So how many years you been married?
99. I went to public school, so my math a little shaky.
No, it's good. Let me get I'm so old. Let me get the abacus out. You know what I mean?
26 or 27 years.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
Praise God. And 2 children.
Well, I'd say 3.
Yeah.
Almost 53.
Yeah.
Come on, man.
I'm slow.
Come on, you're slow.
Yeah, hold on. It is almost 8:30. But what in this seat tonight? What is one of the most important things that marriage has taught you?
Not having expectations.
Yeah.
Now that's kind of contrary to what you would think with marriage or any type of relationship.
You got to hold things, but you got to hold on to things loosely.
Yeah, but not having expectations, because again, we talk about God, we talk about Jesus. The one thing that people will do will always let you down at some point in time.
Sure.
And it's the expectations.
You didn't meet my expectations.
You didn't meet my expectation that causes the chaos. Not the fact that they let you down, because anybody's going to be let down.
Right.
Over time. But it's those, I expect you to act a certain way.
Yeah.
And that's hard for some people. You know, my daughter just got engaged at Christmas time.
You said Millersville?
Millersburg.
Millersburg. Okay.
Right above Harrisburg.
Got it.
But, you know, that's what I would tell her. Like, if she were to come to me and say, Dad, what would I do? I'm like, do not have expectations.
Right.
Because people are individuals first. They're individuals before they're your husband, before they're your wife, and before you're a Christian. And when people are going to do things that are going to let you down.
And what does the Bible say about the heart? It's deceitfully wicked.
Yes.
Even in the confines of marriage. So what has to happen is the only way two can become one is if each individual is connected to the source.
Correct.
Right?
Right.
God the Father, Jesus the Son, who obviously is our King of Kings and Lord of Lords. And then the presence of God, which is his Holy Spirit that does guide us, kind of GPSs us around, and he talks and walks and guides. But yeah, the fine print reads subject to change.
Well, not only that, but just think about the concept of a wedding. Wedding, everything's so nice, whatever, and all of that. That's not real marriage. Real marriage is up and down, up and down. You do something stupid. Okay, everything's going something stupid. Devil jumps in here. Do something stupid. That's how it is. It's not the fairy tale, everything's going to be all right and all of that.
The perfects.
But again, I am a strong believer in expectations. Like if your expectations are too much.
Wow. We talked about this the other night on the program too as an athlete, because Tony, was an all-state wrestler at high school. He went on Division I wrestling.
Good.
Didn't quite make the All-American, but he was super, super good. But he said, and we talked about how so many times we can have, especially through insecurities, fears, reservations, we're not complete. His work's not complete. And so if we abide, we're healthier, but at the same point in time, we demand and expect more sometimes from others than we're willing to give ourselves.
You're absolutely right. But again, if you're focused on expectations.
Right.
If you have expectations, those expectations should be for yourself. Right?
That's true. Yeah.
They should be for yourself, because
it's your walk.
Remember, what's the passage's name? I'm not. Look, I can't throw about the saw board in your eye.
Yeah.
And all of that. Mm-hmm. Think about it. That's what I'm talking about. Take care of your stuff first.
Yeah.
Before you tell someone.
Why do you want to talk about the speck or the splinter in your brother's eye when you got a log in yours?
Correct.
You know what I mean? It's like I got a 2x6 in my eye because I'm expecting you to walk this walk, and a lot of times in marriage, I think the expectations are that because if your partner's weak or not meeting the demands of your expectations, what happens? Oh, we feel slighted.
Right.
We feel like oh my gosh, my partner's weak.
Right.
Is it 50-50? No, it's 100-100.
No, you're right about that.
Right.
You're right. It's not 50-50. Nothing's 50-50.
Right. So you're sold out, married, 2 kids. What is? Man, I'll tell you. If when you have kids.
Yeah.
I've got 5 children, 30 through 12.
Right.
And my second oldest gets married in 2 weeks.
That's awesome.
It is awesome, but it's also like, man, I'm proud of them. But what is fatherhood taught you, man?
Fatherhood has taught me.
So marriage was expectations, but fatherhood, some assembly required. Or are we talking about
fatherhood? and you know me, I'm big. I go back to my mother, because anyone who knows me, when I talk about my kids, if my kids don't pay my bills, then they have to listen to everything I say. If they pay my bills, they can do whatever they want to do. And that's kind of like a take from my mother. That's how my mother used to talk, and I find myself doing the same thing.
Yeah.
The thing I would say about fatherhood is be present, and you don't need to bring the presents.
Yeah, you're talking about the gifts. Just spoil your
present.
Present. Yeah. Time.
Yeah,
that's your time. Quality times.
Stuff that you hate. We in this day and age, we're so driven by, that phone, that iPhone, and so many things, and we're trying to find ways to, oh man, if I could just say I can't do this, so I can do more on the phone.
Right.
But the thing I realized, like with both of my kids, yeah, there's the things I didn't. Yeah, I could be doing something else, but I included my kids too.
Right.
So when my kids were little, I still play basketball. Well, you can call it. I go out on the court and I walk up and down.
Yeah.
They call it
in your geriatric sleeves.
Yeah. But when they were younger, I used to play every other Friday because I used to get that off.
I remember.
I used to bring my kids with me, and the guys there were on the court.
So
the guys.
I remember a video because Southern Columbia, Catawissa has been good to you too.
Oh yeah,
a lot of great people.
Yeah.
But you're down there, Southern Columbia, Jim Roth, the coach, and you were at some pizza shop.
Yeah, that was with Julian.
Yeah, Julian was like,
because
you were like hack a shack.
That was Julian.
He was talking about how if you call it basketball, it's like football.
Yeah, that was it. You know, the good thing about, like you talk about the community down there, Julian and Betsy, they live on the same street I do. They live down the street. So they kind of like grew up with my kids. Julian's the same age as my daughter. So we kind of collectively, I found myself even collectively kind of like going back to how we were collectively raised.
Yeah.
And how we just participated.
Communal.
So Julian's official visit to Ohio State and Penn State. The one to Ohio State was when they played Jersey Shore. They left from right there.
Yeah.
Guess who went with him?
You did.
My son.
No way.
Betsy and Quincy, and because Quincy was young, and I think she probably wanted Isaac there to kind of like help out with Quincy a little bit, whatever. But that's kind of like how it is in our area. Like,
yeah, and that's mad respect. Of course, your son had a nice football career too. State title. You know, he came over from the soccer team.
Yeah.
Did some kicking, played some D end.
Yeah.
Got the hurry, got the pick six or the fumble to the house.
Yeah.
He was gassed. He looked like his old man at the end of that route.
Oh, he did look like me.
But he took that to the house, man.
Yeah.
That was such an awesome. We talk about all that, but it had to be a highlight, him getting into West Point.
Yeah, and what people don't realize, and I'll talk about West Point a little bit, and I'll talk about the success he's had on the football field. You know, at the end of 8th grade, when they turned in all their equipment, Jim Roth told Isaac, "I want you to kick for me next year." So as a freshman, and if you remember a couple months later, COVID started.
Yes.
You know, so he turned his stuff in November, and COVID started in March or whatever. What people don't realize, they see the finished product. Yeah, Isaac did good. He did that and all that. But the thing that I'm most proud about him, and I told him this before he started, because he said, "I'm going to be all state and I'm going to do all that." I'm like, yeah. And he won.
Right, he was, yeah.
But the thing I told him, I said, "I'm not waking you up. I'm not doing any of that stuff." He did all that stuff on his own. 5 o'clock in the morning, 4:30 in the morning.
I saw him lifting in the garage.
What? That's
He's a beast.
That's all him.
Yeah.
That's all him. Yeah. I taught him that, you know, you have to want it more than me. I'll drive you and take you everywhere. But if I'm doing all the work, it's not gonna work. It's not gonna work out good for you.
Right. Yeah. You've got to step up and be the one who's dedicated.
Yeah. So if anything that I'm most proud of, I don't care about him getting into West Point. I don't care about the championships, all that. His work ethic. He just outworked. When people aren't looking, and I think if there's any takeaway like for this, if I have to say anything to any athlete, any parent or whatever, do the work when people aren't looking.
Yeah.
Who cares whether
the cameras are on? Yeah.
Who cares about that? Do the work and you know if you're doing the work or not.
Right.
You can lie to anybody else, but you'll know if you're doing the work. So when you talk about West Point and all that, yeah, that's great, but his work ethic. And both my kids have both my kids have work ethic.
I know they do. They got that from your wife. But she's the drill sergeant at home.
She was on the grades because both of them are very, very bright kids.
She had the switch that your mom passed down generation to generation.
My wife is not hitting those kids. She's just screaming and don't follow through.
I'm gonna edit that. But man, it's so good to reconnect. And you know, I saw some people like actually been tuning in from college, and they're gonna see this. And you know, yesterday's history. But we can look back and go, thank you, God, for bringing me through those seasons. Thank you for that. I don't really have any regrets because it helped me become who I am.
Correct.
Marriage, family, career, and here we are. We're at this impasse. You know, and the last time we talked, we saw each other up at Pine Creek Inn.
Yeah.
And you and I are in a dry season.
Right.
You know, for whatever reason.
Yeah.
We're in a dry season. Like
Me, I'll be completely vulnerable
right
now. December 30th was my 5th year without a drink.
Praise God.
A lot of it was a physical thing. I have a heart condition.
Right.
Where they feel that some of it's contributed from alcohol.
Yeah.
Like alcohol on that. So and that's God saying, look, you're not done yet.
Absolutely. And my thing is, I don't have anything against a social drink
Yeah.
I'm all about relationship over religion.
Yes.
We're not talking legalism tonight. And
Yeah.
thou shalt not have a beverage. For me, it was just, I don't find myself productive. I get to a place where I'm still raising teens. You know, I'm 53. I don't have a whole lot of margin and patience for wasted time.
Gotcha.
I'd rather be on the beach listening to the waves crash up,
Right.
or doing the ministry of God.
Right.
And so I just found myself, I like myself more.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? And again, when I say that is this, I don't know how much time I have left.
None of us do.
And but I'm saying we can say that, but I'm in a season where I just have this sense of urgency. And it's not in a list of to-dos or I've got to outwork this person or that person. I want to see people come to the Lord. I want to be able to share my life with people. And if they choose something else, they know that at least they were respected and loved and cared for and valued. And sports are great, but it's a platform.
It's just a entry. It's just an entry.
So with you, now in the season of like last time we talked on the phone, man, it was like, man, an hour and a half went by and I'm like, dang, we got to go to bed. But you've really found a great deal of joy in your personal relationship with Christ.
Yes.
When did that relationship in the last 5 to 10 years really kind of become more personal?
I would say, and it's all like you said, it's seasons.
Yes. I mean,
it's seasons. Like, you know, when you're younger, I really got back into church when my kids were really young.
Right.
Because I wanted them to have that.
Sure.
I wanted them to have that experience. And then once they went through disciple classes, I said, I'm not going to make you go to church after that. You make that decision yourself because you're a member of the church now. Yeah. So that was important to me.
Just like you said, I can't do the work for you, son.
No, I can.
You got to work.
Yeah.
I can't be your relationship.
Right.
You've got to have one.
Correct.
Your own accountability.
Yeah. Right. So I would say, for me, probably 5 years ago, I think the one thing, like when my mother died, I thought I had it together, and I really didn't. I really didn't. I was masking like being busy versus, you know, doing appropriate grieving. What was appropriate for me. I've just figured, because I'll be honest with you, you know, a lot of times, and this is a trait in most men, I would think, we're control freaks. We got to control. We're fixers. We're
pride.
fixers.
It's that pride.
It's that pride thing. And I think 5 years ago was the pride's nice, but I'm more important than the pride.
Oh yeah.
And I think it changed then. And I don't know how people feel about you know, therapy and going to a therapist and all that.
Yeah.
My therapy is Sunday morning.
Yeah.
That is my therapy because, you know, it depends on what you go through this weekend. Sometimes you're the most righteous person one day, and the next day you're not the most
filthy
righteous
rags, man.
Right. So I look at that as my time corporately to hear from others. Because again, we're always in our head personally.
Yeah.
But corporately to hear from others to say, okay, yeah, I know I've been saying that about myself or running away from that, but this keeps coming up by whether it's the pastor or whether it's someone you're talking to in church or something like that. So I would say the last 5 years more, but I've always had that foundation my entire life. It's just sometimes it was here, sometimes it was there. But now you're getting older, and you know, most people who get older, they tend to come a little bit more closer from a spiritual standpoint.
Yeah, either that or they get really cynical.
Oh yeah,
and hard-hearted and
that's
pessimistic and blame God for everything. And don't get me wrong, I've had seasons where, like David, I've wrestled. and been frustrated. Bad things happen to good people.
Yes.
We had a sermon series one time. It was just entitled "The Things God Never Said," that people say all the time.
Right.
Oh, God said He would never give you more than you can handle. Where's that? Show me that.
Well, I will put a twist on that. Mother Teresa said this.
Yeah.
God, I know God will never give me much more than I can handle, but I wish He didn't trust me so much. And that's it.
Yeah.
That's it.
Sometimes we're sifted. Sometimes we're pruned. Sometimes He says, I'm not going to say yes to that because in order to become patient, which is a virtue that'll allow you to have a peace that surpasses all understanding. If you want that patience, I'm going to give you a season to learn how to be patient.
Well, and think about this. Think about the Lord's Prayer. What's the most important phrase in the Lord's Prayer? In your opinion? I'll tell you mine. And he was like, oh yeah, that makes sense.
I don't know. For me, I used to sing it. I sing a lot in worship. And again, the Lord's Prayer growing up became just something I did. It became more of a ceremony. The Nicene Creed, the Apostles' Creed. There were certain creeds in the Lutheran Church that we said. And again, I'm not anti any of that if it helps you get closer to the Lord. For me, it's Our Father, hallowed be thy name.
Right.
If I can understand that He's holy, that He's first,
right,
and that I'm second, that He's in control.
Well, I look at it like this. I don't disagree with what you're saying.
Right.
Thy will be done.
That's good.
Because think about it. We always want,
Yeah.
a lot of times when we pray, people pray because
Yes.
they want the microwave or the genie god.
Oh yeah, rub the lamp.
Yeah, rub it. Can you make sure the lottery numbers come in?
Yeah,
and
you're
all
right.
That. But we never go to God.
and
We never go to God with all the great things that have happened to us.
Yeah.
And mostly, if you look at your life, in life, mostly positive things happen for you. We dwell on the negative.
Right.
But look in your life.
But when you say thy will be done, even God, if your will is that I go through a season of suffering to bring you glory,
Yes.
whew, right?
Right.
We're not going to pray that way. But
Right.
thy will be done.
Thy will be done.
Is His perfect will.
That's because
His plan
again,
for you.
it's patience, like you said, because hey, my will, God's will could be, hey, everything works out perfect for you right now.
Right.
His will could be, no, I don't need things to work out perfect for you here, but I need you here so that you can go help that guy over there.
Right.
You don't see it now, but you got to trust me
Yeah.
and be patient.
Yeah, and it's so true when it comes to people, place, and time. Because if you just said 35 years ago to you and I,
Right.
we were hanging out shooting pool at 48
Right.
Myers Court,
Right.
after having some wings and a couple of pints over
Yeah.
at Dono's,
Yes.
we'd be sitting at 8:45
Right.
on a Sunday night
Yep.
at my church here at Crossroads, just talking about the things of God. Like, not that I would have said, "Oh, that's not going to happen," but it's my mind can't wrap itself
Oh,
around.
no.
God is sovereign.
His will be done.
Yes.
That's it.
Yes.
That's all it is. I think it comes down to you are right. The Lord's Prayer is a perfunctory exercise. A lot of times for people. Everybody knows it. Everybody memorizes it.
Say that again.
A perfunctory exercise.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It's like mechanical. It's like oxygen.
Yeah.
Like if you're a believer. But do you truly understand
or taking
that
communion.
word?
Like when we take communion, is it just something we do ritualistically, or when we do we when I survey that wondrous cross on which the King of Glory died, we have a moment of thank you for the blood. Thank you for what you went through for me. You know what
tradition, I mean? The problem what happens with religion, tradition becomes a jailer. That's how we've always done it. At 10:46 every first Sunday of the month, the pastor's going to read from this section of the hymn, and then we're going to have communion. Because we've done it that way for 46 years.
Yeah.
Why not have communion first?
Right.
That's the problem. I think what happens with organized religions, mainline religions, the ones that we know are Protestant, even Catholic, is so big on tradition.
Right.
Not enough on faith. And when churches splinter and they break off, it usually doesn't have anything to do with faith. It's because it's the religion mess.
Right.
It's a religion mess, right? It's a religion mess versus
it's doctrinal.
Yeah.
It's man-made doctrine.
Yeah.
It becomes a situation where why do we do that? Well, I don't know. We've always done it that way. And don't get me wrong. Here, I come in with a certain number of worship songs and a plan on Sunday mornings. But if our pastor were to come in on a Sunday morning and say, "Hey, listen, I'm preaching right out of the gate. We'll sing at the end. I'd say, that what God wants? Then we're doing it.
That's very unusual because that normally doesn't happen.
But I'm saying,
And
it was about a month ago, and we talked about communion and say we always do communion towards the end of the sermon. It's second Sunday of the month. Right. We have our own traditions here.
Right.
That we have to be careful that we don't worship tradition. Because a lot of people will be like, we don't do enough of this or enough of this, enough of this. And a lot of times the people that come with the strongest opinions and the pressure and the perspective or the perception of if things aren't this way, it's not right.
Then it's a club or a church.
Right.
Right.
And I say to our pastor, it's like the other week I said, hey, if you want to move communion around, that's great. And he did. And we had communion and we moved it way up in the service.
Right.
And it almost caught people off guard. But there was a level of intimacy that Sunday to communion because it was different in a good way.
Because people they weren't prepared.
Right.
And when God operates, a lot of times we aren't prepared. So it's the same thing.
Right. And it's good to, like you said, you talked about the faith aspect of it.
Yeah.
Because that's where our relationship grows.
Yes.
So for you, what is it that you're really passionate about right now as a Christ follower? Like we can talk about all the, like I said, the stereotypical Christianese. I don't want that. I want you just can't admit. Like I got a hunger for this. God's calling me to this right now in this season of life. Maybe he's calling you to Sabbath more, rest more. Maybe he's calling you that you want to do more humanitarian stuff. Like, what's he calling Aron Carter, aka Darkman, to?
That's a hard question because. Because sometimes you can get confused. You get confused because you say, well, God's speaking to you that way. No, it could just be you wanting to do that.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Sure.
So it's kind of hard. To me, my passion and my heart is there's a international charity I'm on the board of. It's called Clean Water for Haiti.
Clean Water for Haiti. Cool.
And basically what we do is we provide biosand filters for families, like affordability. It costs like $100 to make. And, in Haiti, people die from diarrhea, which is very unusual, young people.
Right.
Because their only water source is so ultrally
like
contaminated.
and stuff?
Yeah, like it's just ultrally contaminated, and they don't have water treated. We're only one of the few countries in the world that has like treated water, like mass scale.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of other places don't have treated water. So it's near to my heart. And I just think just volunteer, just doing things anonymously. And the biggest thing is just remembering that regardless whatever throne you're on, and pardon my French, you're still sitting on your ass. So basically what I mean like that, I don't care how high and mighty someone thinks they are, whether it's in the word and they can quote out this scripture.
There's only one king who says
there's only one king. There's only one leader. We're just rustlers.
Our pastor's last sermon last week was talked about get off your throne.
Yeah.
Because one day, even the things that we've persevered through as believers, we're going to lay those crowns at his feet.
Right.
The medals, the athletic ribbons, all the things that we get, the participation trophies today, right?
Yeah.
Were you first or second on the podium? Yeah. What was it like? All that's great. There's nothing wrong with winning a contest. There's nothing wrong with being in the pole position.
But what does God say? Those will be last will be first.
Yes. Run the race with perseverance that you might finish strong.
Right. That's it. Whether you win in a human sense, right. Whether you win or not, but that perseverance.
Yeah. Yeah. So, look into that camera. We're gonna wrap things up tonight.
Okay.
It's been it's been great sitting down. This will be the first of probably opportunities we have to just connect again, and we got to get out for dinner, hang out.
Definitely.
But I want you to just encourage somebody at home right now. Okay. You retired and went back to work.
Yes. Voluntarily, involuntarily.
but it's almost like as Christians, we don't retire.
Yep.
Because it's more of a calling than it is a vocation.
Right.
But you can also serve God in the marketplace. Right. You can have a job and represent God. But if you can say something out there to people tonight, who is Jesus to you? Right. Who is Jesus to you? And use that to encourage somebody tonight.
Okay. Well, I would say Jesus to me, you know, as most people say, he's my everything and all. I'm not gonna, that's Captain Cliche stuff, and I don't do that. Jesus is what Jesus is. You know, our greatest command that we're given is to love him with all our heart, soul, and mind. But I think we forget about command number 2. And command number 2 is love our neighbors as ourselves. Not only is that tenet, that's a tenet of Christianity, that's a tenet in every religion in the world. And people always say, well, Islam's a religion of death and destruction. No, it isn't. And that's usually people watching TV and looking, and just, that's how you get their thoughts, but nobody doing the work to go read the word. But really what I'm saying is love. Love conquers everything. And I strongly believe that. So, you know, yes, I may do mission work overseas, but that's no different than someone, you know, doing something for their neighbor. Next door, we all have different gifts. We all have different talents. You know, the Bible talks about us having different members. You know, we don't have, our body isn't all eyes. We have eyes, we have skin, we have arms, we have legs. So the thing I would tell folks out there is to don't sit on the sideline. Find out what your gift is and share it.
Yeah, that's good.
And by sharing that, it's going to be hard for some because you have to make yourself vulnerable. And I know a lot of times individuals don't like making themselves vulnerable because they think people are going to laugh at them, they're going to be embarrassed or whatever. But someone died on the cross that I'm pretty sure
he was
could
mocked.
have been mobbed, stripped, whipped. A king won at the beginning of the week.
Yeah.
And then they wanted to just throw him
all
away.
hail.
Yeah. After that. If Jesus can go through all of that, we can afford to make ourselves vulnerable and be laughed at here.
Yeah.
We're told to make disciples. I'm not too sure I agree with that fully. I think we're told to be vulnerable and put ourselves out there, and especially if we're calling ourselves people of faith. So that would be my charge to the folks out there. Yes, there's more stuff I need to do. I get that. But I'm willing to do those things too. But I encourage others if they can to do that as well.
Yeah, man, I just want to say how grateful I am to have sat down with you because, you know, word's already getting back where, you know, certain things that we talk about in our vulnerability, we talk about in our willingness to share. Sometimes it's our testimony. Hey, I did this, this, and this, and God brought me through this, and He's not done with me yet. And I'm passionate about this and sowing in secret and all the things that you talked about tonight. Marriage, family, kids, future, grandkids. At the end of the day, He loves you right where you're at. He loves me right where I'm at. And someone that tunes in tonight will find hope in this, just like our last episode. I know there's marriages that are going to be restored. I know there's people that are going to lay down certain struggles. And if you ever need to reach out, hey, this guy here, he'll talk to you. I'll talk to you. But again, this is another episode from the Panhandle, brother.
Panhandle, Florida.
Of Fort Walton Beach to the high rise of,
Waterville and Jersey Shore.
Jersey Shore. But from King's College, we were monarchs, man.
Yeah,
the ugliest red and yellow ever invented.
Yes.
Ketchup and mustard. They didn't go together.
Yeah, it didn't go together.
But yeah, man, and 35 years later, thanks for spending time with us tonight.
No problem.
On Tailgates and Testimonies, we love you.
Thank you.